And we are live. This is Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. My name is Sheldon Alexander, and I'm joined by my dude, Mr. Andrew Webster, after a huge blowout victory by the Indiana Pacers as they take Game 6, 108-91, to even up the NBA Finals at 3. Mr. Andrew Webster, how are you feeling after a blowout win by, I'm going to say your Pacers? I feel like you're on the side of the Pacers.
I grew up in Oklahoma, man. I'm rooting for the Thunder.
Cool. Okay, sorry. My bad. You're just rolling with TJ.
Yeah, of course. Like, he's my guy. How can you not? Dude, we have a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. This is the best. The ultimate.
It is awesome.
What was the last Game 7? All right. So it was the last Game 7.
No, it was Cavs.
It wasn't the Bucks.
It was Cavs Warriors, no?
Cavs Warriors, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
LeBron, Kyrie, the chase down block.
Curry.
I think that's the last one, right?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Just incredible stuff. I mean, not the best game, obviously. OKC decided to have their worst game of the season at the worst possible time. Well, I guess the worst possible time would be Game 7.
Game 7, yeah.
But, I mean, to date, the worst possible time as, again, OKC falls. Just a brutal performance all the way around from the Oklahoma City Thunder, and a weird game. Like, that game started off, like Indy missed their first 8 shots. OKC was up 10-2. And then Nembhard comes out 8 straight points. And then it was just essentially a wrap. No, like, how is it possible? Like, to you, I know this is a weird question, but how could OKC possibly put up this performance in Game 6? Or are you just giving the credit to Indy where they deserve it? They earned it. That's just what it is.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, J-Dub. I mean, these are guys who have never experienced having the plastic over the chairs, having the trophy be in the building, having the coolers full of champagne and beer. Hey, where are we going when we win the title? What's the first stop? Like, these are things that are, non-tangible, obviously, but it's got to be in their minds. I mean, they're such a great young team that, I mean, outside of Caruso, who has been there before,
Yeah.
And it's not like Indiana, again, outside of maybe like Pascal, Miles Turner's been in the league a long time, but and they made it to the conference finals, I guess, against Boston last year. But it's different when, hey, it's right there in front of us for the taking to our back is against the wall. We're at home. We need to win. We're balls to the wall. Like, you could tell there was a little bit of that kind of mental hopscotch that both teams were doing rather. And then it was like, I mean, Indiana got contributions from everywhere. From everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, their box score is just insane, right? Like, Obi Toppin leads away with 20 points, but then you go to their starting lineup.
Was the best player on the court, right?
No.
It's hard to pick one person out who was the star. Like, Pascal had the dunk, but I thought Tyrese, hobbled as he was, played great. TJ McConnell, we talk about it all the time, had an amazing game. Was it Nembhard had an amazing game.
Yeah. The contributions just across the board, right? Mentioned Obi Toppin with 20, McConnell with 12 off the bench. So you're getting your bench production. That doesn't even include Ben Shepherd, who gave them 7. Like, you're getting contributions up and down your lineup, but from everyone but Miles Turner, essentially. I mean, even James Johnson subbed in and got ejected, right? Which is like hilarious in its own right. But the point is, though, you're Indiana and your season is on the line. You're at home. We've talked about how the role players and bench players play better at home, and that happened for Indy here, where you're getting contributions from everybody, right? Where Siakam with the double-double and that massive dunk, like, that was, I didn't know Pascal still had that in his game, where he threw it down on Jalen Williams, massive dunk there. The Haliburton aspect of this game, though, is super interesting to me because, especially with the extra day to, like, talk about whatever narratives and boost narratives. I felt like this talk of him being hurt and is he going to play and he might be questionable in the game time decision and all this stuff. This might sound weird, but did OKC kind of just think, oh, we got this? Like, we blew them out in the last game, or we won comfortably in the last game. Their best players hurt. We got this. Like, because they didn't even pressure him as much as they did in the last game. And it's like you're thinking, yo, if he's hurt, we're going at him every possession. He's in every pick and roll. We're going at him, and the torture chamber is on him 94 feet, full court. We're playing defense, and that didn't really happen, and I don't understand why. And then he looked okay, 14 points. Like, I almost tweeted out, I just didn't want to be that troll, but I almost tweeted out, I'm like, oh, so I guess Haliburton's okay now? Right? Like, so his leg's not about to fall off? Like, I don't know.
We never really had it tested.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. They were so passive with guarding Tyrese Haliburton, which was a total 180 from the last game, when it seemed like they were picking him up 94 feet from the basket and they didn't know he was injured. Now you've had, like you say, the 3 days of constant, news updates about his calf. I would have thought you're right. Like, send Dort at him every possession, whether he has the ball or not, and wear him out. Because even like he only played 23 minutes, but he was pretty effective in those 23 minutes,
Oh, he was pushing the pace.
He was the other end of that highlight with Pascal, like crazy no-look pass, Magic Johnson style. That was awesome.
Yeah, he was still able to push the pace. He was running the floor. Like,
he was doing what they want him to do.
Yeah, he didn't really look out of place. The one thing I give them a lot of credit for was clearly they told Nembhard. I mean, McConnell plays at one speed, so that's how he's going to play all the time. But I feel like they clearly told Nembhard, hey, we need you to also like push the pace, bring the ball up a lot more, like be more of the engine, because we don't know how much we're going to get from Hallie, but we need more from you. And I thought Nembhard had an incredible game.
Great.
17 points on 5 of 7 shooting, but he also had 4 assists, 3 steals.
Yeah, I was going to say, beyond that, with what he was doing to Shea, even though Shea got his points, Nembhard was in his pocket the whole night and forced Shea into a lot of those turnovers. What did Shea finish with in terms of turnovers? Like 7 or 8? And a lot of those are going to be on Nembhard.
Yeah, it was such a weird game. And to follow up your point on OKC, I just feel like they didn't come out with the same defensive pressure that they had in the other games at all. And it seemed kind of weird. And I don't know if like Indy just back against the wall, they wanted it more, they played harder, but they blatantly just played harder than OKC in this game. And it was more than just, if you go back to the road home splits, right? Like, I wrote the numbers down somewhere. Let me find it here. But it's like the Thunder are plus 241 at home and minus 67 on the road in this series. Like, that's insane, right? But to me, the point of that is the supporting cast. Like, Shea didn't have his best game by any stretch, but you got pretty much no shows from Chet Holmgren.
Yeah, that's
right?
Tough.
Jalen Williams was okay, just okay, but you didn't get much from your bench guys at all. The other weird part to me, and I'd love to get your take on this, is it weird that OKC still hasn't figured out their lineups yet for this series? And we're going to game 7.
But isn't that part of like what they do, is that giving you different defensive looks throughout the entire game so they can, go small for a stretch and try to wear you out that way. But then as you do get tired, then we lean on the bigs to come in and really take your legs away from you. Like, it just seems to me like OKC as a team, especially defensively, isn't just 5 guys. It is 8 guys, 9 guys that they can cycle in and cycle out, and that's part of their defensive identity. Now, I agree that maybe it would be smart if you had 5 guys that you could rely on for game 7 to just go out there and wreck shit on.
But I'm just talking about, like, you don't even have a rotation. Like, they've changed their starting lineup. They had the 2 big starting lineup, then they switched it back. And then, at halftime, Caruso's in the starting lineup, right? I just mean, like, you don't have a rotation yet of here's our starters and here's our 3 guys off the bench that we can trust. We're seeing different facets of that still. And that's kind of odd. Whereas Indy, you pretty much know what you're getting so far. And I don't know if that's just the nature of Carlisle being a veteran coach versus
That's the other
Dagno
point I was going to. Yeah.
not really having as much experience or really understanding yet, like the importance of the routine, the consistent minutes, like Isaiah Joe to play and then not play in like 2 games or not get many minutes. And then Aaron Wiggins, for example, he had a massive, what was it, game 3, I think it was.
Well,
and then like not much
too,
since.
yeah.
He was okay last game, but like, it's just so odd. And I think that hurts, especially when you need your role players on the road, but they don't even know if they're going to play. Do you know what I mean? And listen, this is not on me to second guess a team that's won, I don't know, like 90 something games this season. Do you know what I mean? But it's just interesting as we're heading into game 7 of the NBA finals and we still don't know who their starting lineup is going to be yet. Like that's kind of odd to me. That's kind of odd.
I was running down the Oklahoma City Thunder players with, this championship game 7 NBA finals experience. The one that we forgot was Rick Carlisle and Dagno. Mm-hmm. And I really think that, like, obviously the road team in a game 7 is at a severe disadvantage. The stat was going around last night that it's like 15 of the last 19 game 7s have gone to the home team. But in this case, I mean, that scale can be tipped by coaching. And Rick Carlisle, enough can't be said about the way that he's put this team together and he's coached it the last few years. And a guy like Dagno, who's been great, but has never been in this pressure cooker of a game 7 at home or on the road,
Well, the interesting part to me, right, about what this game 7 could be is, you look back and you think, okay, well, we mentioned the last game 7, right? The Cavs winning in Golden State.
In Golden State, yeah.
You needed like heroic performances from LeBron and from Kyrie, right? And do the Pacers have those players that have the ability to just say, listen, we're going here, like Siakam gonna drop 35 or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Or are you needing a game like this where you have all these players making contributions, which is going to be so much tougher on the road, as you just mentioned, right? Like I had this weird feeling going into last night's game. I went out to watch with a couple of buddies and I was like, I know I have OKC in 6, but something I could see them just getting blown out and then blowing out Indy in game 7. Like I could just see that happening. And it was just because as such a young team, like you got to be so mentally tough to go into that building and win on the road. Like your whole team has to be, right? Unless Shea was going to go for 50 or something crazy like that, which I mean, early on, it looked like he was going to try to do that, but it's just such a tough thing. And now we're in a game 7 and I got to be honest, you could tell me anything happens in this game 7 and I wouldn't be surprised.
That's the thing. It's like, I don't know. Last night felt like really, and maybe I'm wrong, but it felt like the first blowout of these finals, like something that was over basically halfway through the third quarter. Am I wrong?
I think it was game 2. It was game 2. OKC blew them out. OKC blew them out in game 2, but this was the first Pacers blowout for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So since game 2, other than that though, 2 out of 6 games, 4 games have been super competitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think that I hope that it is just an all-out classic come Sunday night. Like I don't want to see an OKC blowout or an Indy blowout.
Nobody does. I
want to see Tyrese have the ball in his hands down to jacking up the 3, That's what we want to see. Or Shea the other way.
Yeah, I'm interested in like, the crowd's going to be rocking, but are like all the players going to be nervous? A lot of game 7s, if you remember, they have the tendency of nerves being kicked in.
Big time.
Bad shooting to start early on. And who's going to be the player to kind of take control and say, don't worry,
stabilize.
Okay, stabilize until the game settles down, the nerves settle down, and then all the other players are able to just, all right, pick me up, let's go. Because last night kind of seemed like OKC was coming in with some mentality of, okay, if we just got to keep it close, and if we keep it close, we got ourselves a chance. And Indy just came and like punched them in the jaw. Do you know what I mean? Like slow start, and then Indy outscored them 68-32 over the next 24 minutes after that like terrible slow start, you know? And that was the first time they led by more than 10 points at any point in the last 5 games, right? Or in the first 5 games, pardon me. Right. And it's crazy that lead got up to 31. Like, it was an insane game. I'm watching this thinking, this doesn't even make any sense. Like, it didn't make any sense to me at all how bad Indy or OKC was in that game. But the one thing you got to give them credit for is every time they've looked horrible, in a game, they bounce back.
Yeah.
They bounce back, and it's like they're able to brush it off, or whatever, you know, meetings they have or regroup they have, or team meetings or whatever it is, game plan, sit down, watch tape. They come back and they're just ready to go. So I don't know who to trust more. I guess you got to go with OKC just because they're at home, and I'm going to trust that their role players, like, they'll hit shots at home because they don't hit shots on the road for whatever reason.
They got to hit them somewhere.
You hit them. But their other guys just step up, right? Like Wiggins plays better at home. Yeah. Who else was big for them? Cason Wallace was big for them at home, right? Like, you have those guys. I mean, you know, Caruso and Shea really got to get you going. And obviously J-Dub, right? But like, this is a weird series, man. For a series that started with everyone talking OKC blowout, OKC in 5, OKC sweep. And here we are in a game 7. What do you think the biggest key has been for the Pacers in just how they were able to get here? Even when you add in the fact that Haliburton's been hobbled, this is a team that everyone was talking about them being an underdog and this being a quick series, and somehow they got it to game 7. What do you think is the biggest factor for that?
Yeah, the resiliency of both these teams to stare adversity, you know, in the face and then come back. And, you know, how many times have we thought that the Pacers were going to get run out of the building in every series coming to the finals?
Yeah.
I mean, and somehow they just get it done. And what's awesome to see is that, unlike, you know, you said that, you know, the last game 7, LeBron and Kyrie, when you go through this lineup, I mean, we love Haliburton in the future as one of these young stars, but they don't have those guys, those superstars. Even, you know, they don't have a Shea. They don't have a guy who's going to be in the commercials. Well, I'm sure, again, Tyrese will be in a couple of commercials next year. But the way that they can do it as a team, I think, again, goes to the coaching. I think that what Carlisle, I think that this whole playoffs run has really elevated Rick Carlisle from a great coach to one of the all-time guys.
Yeah.
Because he is the guy who puts this roster together. He's not just a coach who works with a GM. He doesn't have a Daryl Morey. He doesn't have a Masai. He doesn't have one of these people who like is crafting everything. He's doing this himself. And usually I find in those GM coach things, it can go really wrong.
Yeah.
But he has that experience and has been around the block, has seen it happen. And I think what he's doing with this roster, even to get to 7 games of the NBA Finals, is unbelievable. So I really think that it's the coaching that's put them where they are.
Yeah, I mean, Rick Carlisle's done a masterful job in this series. And I think just, you know, the way that one of the things they talked about during the season and elevating Pascal Siakam, and who's just been great, but imposing on him, hey, you have the gift of playing beside Haliburton. And if you just run the floor, you get out and run, you can make this series you can make it so easy on yourself to get easier buckets. And I think just getting a vet like Siakam to buy into that, like, hey, we don't need you in the half court, top of the key, handling the ball. We need you running the floor, right? We need you doing the dirty work, and him playing defense and guarding anybody. Like, it's just been a really, really good job. And especially for Carlisle, because so many people talk about how, okay, he has Haliburton, so we changed their style of play. Like, he changed his style of play, right? In terms of fast pace, up and down, they shoot a lot of threes, they get out and go. but he's still a really good defensive coach as well. And I think we've seen that side of the ball
Yeah.
for Indy show up in this series as well, because you got to give them credit. It's not like, Shea hasn't been, it's not like, oh, Shea just had an off game. Like Nembhard's forced him into that, right? Like unleashing Nembhard and Neesmith on the defensive end, right? Miles Turner, despite the fact that his offense has been terrible, he's still been pretty good in the paint in terms of blocking shots and being the anchor. Siakam, you could put him to guard anybody throughout the lineup. Haliburton's not a great defender, but because of all the other guys and the defensive system, he's able to hold up still. Like, it's just, you're right. It's a great job done by Rick Carlisle. And I think that definitely has been an advantage for the Indiana Pacers. I mean, despite the fact that, we mentioned Haliburton, we were talking about him earlier, right? So he had 14 points, 5 of 12 field goals, 3 of 7 from 3 in 23 minutes, right? In game 6. He was 1 for 11 in games 4 and 5 combined, right? And that's after 4 points in game 5. If you're Indy, how much are you sensing a sigh of relief that Haliburton will be okay in game 7? Or if you're OKC, I'm giving you the option here. Are you going to take OKC and say, oh no, we got to lock him out. We got to I don't care how injured you are. We're trying to lock you down. Which side of the fence are you looking for here in game 7?
Oh, OKC. I think they're going to look at the tape from the film from game 6 and take a look at Caruso and Dort and be like, in game 7, this guy can't take 2 steps without you being up in his face.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really think that, again, the strained calf is something, what did they say? It would be like a multi-week injury, unless
Something
that was
like
NBA Centel that said that. But like that, it's not like that calf injury goes away because they won game 6. Like he played great, hobbled, and he did. Like, for Indiana to be successful, he doesn't need to score 30 points.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to score 20 points. He can be very successful in going 5 for 12 from the field because he provides so much other stuff. But what you want to do if you're OKC is make sure that he can't even perform that other stuff.
Yeah.
You need to be up in his business in a serious way. So I really think that that's going to be a big focal point for OKC in game 7.
Yeah, the other part, the more and more I keep looking at these road home splits, it's like I just feel like OKC blows them out in game 7, right? Like 11 for 46 from 3-point line. That's 24% in the last 2 road games for OKC from 3. 24% from 3. Like, you can't even hit threes, and magically the threes just go in at home. Like, it's just kind of insane, right? And I don't know. I just have this weird sinking feeling OKC just rolls in game 7. But the weird part about it to me, as I think back to how this series has played out, I've enjoyed so much of this series, and I'm so happy from a basketball like diehard, as I know you are as well, and all of the talk about, whether it was ratings, whether it was these small markets, there's no superstars, there's no whatever. This has been a great series, especially storyline wise. And I love the fact that, a lot of people got to eat some crow here talking about, oh, this is going to be a quick series, and Indy has no chance. And it's like, like they got a chance here, right? They got a really good chance here going into a game 7 when nobody thought they did. So if I were to ask Mr. Andrew Webster for a game 7 pick, do you want to do that? Or are you just hoping or are you just hoping for a good time had by all?
No, fun was had by all. But no, I think you're right. I think that the performance of Oklahoma City on their home court throughout the entire playoffs has been extraordinary. It's one of the best home crowds in the league. I'd love to see Oklahoma City win a chip. I'd love to see Shea really cement this year of the leap into, superstar NBA superstardom with a title. Like to see Presti, after creating this team with all the picks and the amazing trade to get Shea. I think that it's going to be Oklahoma City by 10.
Okay.
I tell you what, I'll say 111-101 Oklahoma City Thunder. They take control in the first half, third quarter, early fourth. Indy makes a comeback, and then Shea shoots 10 free throws in the last 5 minutes.
I'm with you. I see Indy just, not even that they're running out of gas. I just think that OKC, for whatever reason, didn't have their foot on the pedal in game 6 at all. And I think that reverses once they get home. That home crowd is just going to be crazy, and their defense will lead them into the win. Because we see so much of what happens with their offense, right? When their offense stalls and they're not getting easy buckets, and they have to just play in the half court, and it's just Shea and J-Dub taking turns, that's not when their team is at their best, right? Like, they need to be, getting turnovers, going up and down the court, getting fast break opportunities, and then making it easier for Shea and J-Dub to get downhill, because it's not against a set defense. We saw none of that in game 6, right? And I think that reverses at home. The energy will just be different. I think they get a chance to regroup here. I think you figure out, hey, we can't let Tyrese Haliburton be a factor in this series, period. And I don't know if maybe, as I said, the extra day off allowed this like narrative to creep in, like, oh, he's a game time decision. Maybe he's not going to play, or maybe he's not going to be as much of a factor. And they didn't guard him full court as hard as they did, which made no sense to me. I think that has to change. So, maybe that is bringing in Cason Wallace and playing that Fred VanVleet role on Steph, right? Where it's just like not quite box and one. But I'm saying, like, you're just on Haliburton and that's it. Like, OKC played zone. When I saw that, I'm like, you guys are giving up. I was like, what? How the Thunder, who have the best defense we've seen in like years, and it's like, you're playing zone in game 6? Like, what are we doing here? Right? Like, I just didn't understand their game 6 performance at all. So yeah, I think I'd like to think Indy is cooked, but you said it earlier. Carlisle factor. Like, this is the biggest game of these guys' season, of their careers to date. And this
is the biggest game of like Dagenot, Shea, Chat. You go down the line for the entire Thunder. This is the biggest game of their lives. Rick Carlisle has been here before, and he's won before.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. And I want to know, like, because you think about the top guys, like Siakam's been in these big time games before. Like, if there was a way to sprinkle on first quarter points for Pascal Siakam, I would take the over, because I feel like he knows, okay, I got to come out aggressively to start this game, to set the tone, and come out and just like let the young guys know, don't worry, we're here. It's okay. We got to quiet the crowd a little here, because Shea never had the ability. What game was it? It was game 4 that they came back and won. Yeah. And Shea was hitting silencers on the road, right? Like, where the crowd's up, the crowd's bumping, the crowd's getting all crazy. Shea just hits a turnaround Jimmy, crowd goes quiet. Like, you need, like, Indy's going to be fighting against the crowd as well. And I think you have to do that through your vet, but also through your coach, which I thought did a good job in last night's game.
Called the timeout. Well, he called the timeout at 10-2 in the first quarter. He called the timeout.
But even later on in the game, right, when they're up like 20, anytime OKC had a sniff of a run, timeout, right? Like, he wouldn't even let them get it to like 15. Anytime they got to like 18, timeout. And then Indy would come back out. And I just think those things are going to be so key, because OKC, I don't think, is going to win a close game. If it's a close game, I think Indiana wins.
What is close? 5 points with 2 minutes left?
Yeah. Yeah.
With a minute left?
Yeah, like a game left? That's in the balance in winning time.
5 points with a minute left.
I'm saying, like, if it's a close game, I think Indy wins.
I hope, man. I have just a 10-point lead in my head for some reason.
No. I'm with you. I'm just saying that I still don't trust, watching how this series is played out. When the games are close, I don't trust OKC in this series. I just don't. even though they won, Shea had the crazy comeback in that game. And I still don't know how that happened, right? But I'm saying if they don't blow them out, we could be in trouble. They could be in trouble.
I just want it to be a great game like that.
So this means I'm going to bug you to do a little chat on Monday, I guess it would be, right? The game Sunday night. So we'll recap whatever happens in said game 7. We're both on the OKC Thunder in game 7. I feel like the if I looked up the odds for said game, I feel like it's probably going to be heavily favored towards OKC in that way. If I look at the betting odds,
what do we got?
Oh, it's only OKC minus 7.5. I'm actually
what's the money line?
Money line OKC is minus 290.
I was going to say 270,
and plus 235 for the Pacers. Interesting.
7.5.
Interesting.
7.5 spread. Oh,
very interesting. I'll say that much. I'm surprised it's that low because most of the home games have been like 9.5. Right.
What's the Siakam over under on points?
I got it. That takes a little bit.
That takes a little bit longer.
A little more digging. Although I will say on the Clutch Picks preview that I did, the things I gave out, I said I did pick my overall pick was obviously OKC in 6. But I said something also tells me like, don't buy this, Indy has no chance. I'm like, worth a sprinkle was Haliburton. I'm like, if you don't want to bet on the Pacers to win the series, Haliburton finals MVP or Siakam, if you're willing, because the number was crazy too. I got to go back and look at what the number was for Siakam finals MVP, but it was like,
does Tyrese do the step when it's announced if they win, like he did with the Eastern Conference?
I mean,
MVP?
Obviously we don't know. Hold on. Question for you though. We don't know what would happen in a game 7, obviously, which would have a huge impact on said finals MVP. Of course. But as of now, if they were naming, like, let's say Indy just won the series, who is the MVP?
I think it's Siakam.
Right? That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I think. If not TJ McConnell.
I mean, I guarantee you he'd get some votes.
I'm telling you, if he goes tomorrow or on Sunday night, if he goes 17, 6, and 7 and plays a bit of the fourth quarter and they win, and he has 17, 6, and 7, I mean,
I mean,
6th man of the finals.
I mean, yo, TJ are we in a world where TJ McConnell? I mean, Fred VanVleet got a Finals MVP vote, right? So why can't TJ McConnell get a Finals MVP vote?
Was Fred VanVleet was drafted, right? Or was he?
No, he was undrafted. It was one of those. You're gonna be picked in the second round, but the agent was telling teams. Basically, you know how they work out those deals where the agents are like, don't pick them in the second round because, it'll be less money and, we're going to sign anyways. So, the kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, don't pick me type thing. So
is he the only undrafted player? Well, now, would he be the only undrafted player to win finals MVP?
If he won finals MVP?
No. Well, did you say Fred VanVleet won?
No, he got a finals MVP vote.
Oh, he did.
Is what I said. Yeah.
No, Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi won finals MVP.
Right,
Fred got a finals MVP vote. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. My bad in not clarifying.
No, I should. I mean, of course, the best player on the team.
Yeah. No, Kawhi got all the picks. Kawhi got all of the votes except for one. I think I want to say it was maybe Hubie Brown that voted for Fred. I listen. My memory might be going though, as like the years and years, get a little further away here. But amazing stuff, Webby. Thanks for coming on and talking some ball here as the Indiana Pacers do their job in terms of forcing a game 7, taking care of home court in a massive way, leading by, I want to say at least 30 at one point, but they finish it out 108-91 to even the NBA finals up at 3, forcing a game 7 on Sunday. Who's going to win? We got to find out. That's why they play the games. Beautiful place to be. Game 7 NBA finals. I got to figure out where I'm watching the game.
Oh,
right? I gotta figure that
no,
out.
no, no. I have one more question.
Okay.
Who's the biggest celebrity we see on the broadcast in Oklahoma City?
Oh, that's a good question. Because, like, I don't know. Like, who was even there? Has there been any celebrities in Oklahoma City?
I'm sure there's been some. I
Because I
haven't
don't even
like
think
really
there's been an
seen.
Indy. Like, Indy's just had like former players. Like,
Oh,
shouts to
Mike
Ron
Epps.
Ron. Shouts
Mike
to
Epps.
Ron Ron.
Mike Epps was in Indy.
Oh, yes, that's true. That's true. Shouts
I
to Ron
love.
Ron and Lance.
I love. Oh, I saw Lance last night. And it's yeah. So I'm on TikTok, and my algorithm gives me Lance Stevenson highlights on like a daily basis.
The big three
Do you
fights.
understand? Well, that was amazing. But I honestly, like, I think Lance Stevenson is one of my top 5 players of all time. Not in how good he was, but in
Yeah,
how
yeah,
much I enjoyed watching him play NBA basketball.
yeah.
That guy thought he was the best player, and I think I'm the only person who agreed with him. Every time I'm like, go on, Lance, go do your thing, man. You got this. And he had some amazing highlights, but he
Well,
also had some of the funniest
like
unintentional moments of
blowing in
his.
LeBron's ear.
Or that clip where he just popped when he was on the Hornets.
Yeah.
He just like popped up out of nowhere. He's the best.
Like when you think of the characters from some of those indie teams in terms of Lance and Stack, Ron Ron, like what a squad. You know what I mean? What a squad.
Absolutely.
It's so funny, man. It's so funny. Shouts to Indiana Pacers. I don't know what celebs will be there, but it's game 7. You would assume that like
Blake Griffin. That's the only one I could really think of.
Assume like Lil Wayne flies out or something. Does Aubrey make an appearance? I don't
Aubrey
know.
Plaza?
No, Aubrey Graham, Drake.
Oh,
Aubrey Plaza.
I would much rather see Aubrey Plaza than Drake.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that point. Well, we shall see. Is there a place to bet on that? Who's going to be there? Who's going to be there?
Awesome. If Aubrey Plaza is there, Shelly, I'll FaceTime you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thanks again to the people tuning in wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. Remember, that's Apple, Spotify, and of course, YouTube. Like and subscribe. Follow on the socials at Shell Alexander on the app formerly known as Twitter, and on YouTube is Sheldon Alexander. Same for Instagram, Canada Hoops Daily, all that other fun stuff. I see my guy, Mr. at a Webster 84. That's how you can talk some trash to him online too about his Sixers and anything else you want to talk about. Maybe some MF Doom, you know what I mean? Like there's
Dochi, West Side Gun,
new clips. My boy called me the other day. He's like, you need to listen to clips right now. They just dropped like another song. You need to listen right now. I'm like, I'm on it.
July 11th. I can't believe I got to wait till July 11th.
It's crazy. Lots to talk about. NBA draft on the way, free agency on the way. We'll be here to break it all down at some point as well. Mr. Webster, thank you again for being with us. And as I always say, I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this. This is Clutch Picks. Nope, this is at Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. When you do too much, it's like, wait, let me look at the sign here. What pod is this? I don't know. It's like, oh no, I got to send the invoice to Clutch Picks after I'm done this. That's why that's in my head. That's why that's in my head. Gotta send them the invoice after this. But this is the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. And I'm leaving this in, by the way. I'm not editing this part out because it's so perfect. This is the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. As always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.